Transcript of audio recording found on a cellular phone near Enfield, Vermont. Strangely, there were no other files found on this phone. The rest of the data had been deleted. However, there was no evidence of data deletion. Even more strange, there are no records of any sort of disappearances in the area, or of anyone visiting the area. Play. Most people would describe my issues as paranoia. I would not use that word. I would describe it as out of fear. But that wouldn't convey the right thing. I feel this something. When I was little, 6 maybe, I used to bring my parents into my bedroom because I would get scared. When they asked what I was afraid of, I said that I was seeing bats in the curtains. That was a lie. I didn't see anything. I would wake up for whatever reason and find myself staring at the curtains by the window next to my bed. Then anxiety would start building up, or fear, or something. It felt like dramatic horror movie music should be building up the tension and anticipation, but it would never come, just silence, making the silence more uncomfortable. That was the main reason I got a sound machine. The silence would become too much, and I needed to make the curtain stop doing that, to stop oozing the something. It was already a hard decision to get out of bed. If I turned my back to open the door, or anything, it was certain something horrible would happen. I would turn the doorknobs with my left hand so I could keep my eyes on those curtains. This happens everywhere I go. My grandparents live in a large cabin on a lake in Vermont. It's up a long, steep gravel driveway and surrounded by woods. If that wasn't bad, it takes a half an hour to get to the nearest actual town. The closest gas station is a general store called Proctor's. It's cheerful during the day, but whenever we would stay there, I would have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. It's understandable enough to get creeped out because of the dark woods at night, but then we had to use the sound machine that they had installed at their house. For some reason, I always heard this weird oscillating sound above all the other noises. I couldn't describe it, I can't still, but the sound combined with the dark woods out the window, it made it nearly impossible to sleep. I would just stare at the notches in the wood, the little dark brown eyes in the ceiling and walls. When I would turn over and face the wall, I felt like I was exposed, even though I was covered in blankets. It was better in the winter, but in the summer, it would be unbearable. If the crickets were out or the windows were open, it just made it infinitely worse. The same feeling came in through the windows, but it hovered in the windowsills. I would just stay awake. Nothing I did helped me fall asleep. I would just find myself waking up. I was sure the something in the windowsills would move while I slept. One night I couldn't sleep as well as I usually did. Not that that was very well. So I got out of bed and threw on a sweatshirt and went into the kitchen. I didn't know what I went there for, just to get out of that room. Then the sun was beginning to go up, like before the pre-dawn gray, like this bluish twilight. So I went out of the front porch. I looked out over the lake, then I turned to look at the field. My grandparents have a big garden across the driveway. Beyond the garden, there's a bush, then the trees start. Out in the field, right at the edge of the garden, were eyes. Glowing, gray eyes. Not a deer. I knew what those looked like. It seemed to be captivated by something in the distance. But then, it turned away from whatever it had been focusing on and found a new target. I felt daggers running through my chest as it stared directly at me. I ran inside, faster than believable. I slammed the front door and locked it in every way that I could imagine. I ran up the stairs to the loft where the ornamental rifle hung. I don't know why. I just did. I suppose I felt it might bring me protection. However, at the top of the stairs, I slipped and hit my head on the railing. When I woke up, I realized that it wasn't a dream. I had a concussion and a bruise on my temple. That's when the habit of sleeping with my head under the blanket started. It took several years before I couldn't stand the curtains in my bedroom anymore, so I got rid of them. I even rearranged my bedroom, moving my bed all the way to the other side of the room, to the opposite wall, confident that something would go away, but of course, it didn't. I was fine for a couple of nights. Then the something began coming from my closet. It only creeped from under the door when it was closed. I suppose it knew I could see it if the door was open. It felt like a classic slasher villain hiding in my closet constantly. It was worse than it ever was before. I began leaving my closet open at night and sleeping so I could make sure I could see it. But I felt like the something knew what I was thinking, was one step ahead of my plans to defeat it, to get rid of it. All I wanted was to get rid of it. One day, I heard a sound. As I was awaking from another terrible sleepless night, I heard that sound, the sound of scraping and dragging. I looked everywhere as it continued, and then realized it was coming from under my bed. From that day on, I would make sure to step several feet over from the edge of my bed and jump on and off. If I didn't, I was certain that something would grab me and drag me away. That was a given. I couldn't sleep facing away from the closet anymore. If I did, something would happen. The something would make its move. Some mornings, I'd find small scratches on my leg, little lines of scabs. I'd be sure they weren't there in the morning. I didn't tell anyone. They wouldn't believe me, I'm sure. And right now, I doubt you believe me. But maybe one person might. Maybe you're that one person. Maybe you feel the something too. I hope you get to hear this because I don't want you to get hurt by the something. But right now, I'm in the woods. Those same woods. The ones by my grandparents' house. And I'm afraid. Oh God. It's really strong here. Oh God. Where is it? Where is it coming from? It's everywhere. Oh no. I think I see something. What is that? End of transcript.